heroism. It's the pursuit of two ideals, excellence and a higher purpose. This noble mission is not just found in Hollywood. It's a game changer for businesses devoted to it. Almost all business owners launch their company to make a difference in the world around them. Join us on the Heroic Experience as we talk with business owners, senior leaders, and established entrepreneurs so that you too can elevate your business to heroic success. Now, here's your host, John D. Hanson.
Welcome back to the Heroic Experience Show, brought to you by Kaufman Media. Check out their digital media solutions and more, digital signage solutions and more on their website, kaufmanmedia.com. That's spelled COFFMAN media.com. Super excited on multiple levels to have Nick Glimsdahl with us here in studio today. He's the Director of Contact Center Solutions at VDS and the host of the Press One for Nick podcast. It's been a pleasure to have Nick as a good friend for a period of time and helped me get established in the CX world. So thanks for being here, Nick, and I'm looking forward to jumping right into the very first question we always ask. We want to hear the stories. We want to hear the wow stories just off the top of your head. First for VDS, then we'll go to the podcast next to some of the guests you've had. But what comes to your mind immediately for one of the wow stories of a client that now is with VDS, loves being with VDS, may have never even heard of VDS until they encountered you?
Yeah, well, first off, thanks. It's a pleasure to be on the show. When it comes to the VDS, there's a lot of people that don't know who we are. We don't know we exist. There's a lot of people who go directly to the manufacturer, and that's with this specific story is exactly that. There was an insurance company who went to the manufacturer. They were on legacy technology. Went to the manufacturer first. They realized they were getting kind of bamboozled by the first one. And they're like, hey, about a year in, this isn't going to work. So they go to the second one, and they're like, hey, this one's going to be a different experience because they are going to get, this is exactly what they said. They're going to get this exact service. It's going to be amazing. The uptime is going to be great. They're going to be a true omnichannel experience. It's going to be integrated into Salesforce, yada, 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 yada. Yeah. The third time's a charm, right? They said, fail me once, shame on me. Or shame on me, fail me twice, shame on you, right?
Right.
So the third time they come up and they said, Nick, I know you've reached out to me about a year ago. We had coffee. Let's talk through this. Like, tell me more about what you guys do and how you can help guide me to that next solution. He's like, I don't want to fail 3 times. He's like, my reputation internally is being damaged.
Yeah.
And so we
every
help
time.
Yeah. So we help guide them and not just talk about the technology. I think that's the fallacy is technology is going to solve all the world's problems.
Right.
And at the end of the day, humans are doing business with other humans. Humans are communicating on all these interactions with different humans. And so that's where you should start. Like, where's the pain points from the interaction from the employee side and then back on the consumer side, regardless of what channel they're on? How do you make it as seamless as possible for that? So that's kind of what we did. We guided them through that process, and it's just a different experience that they've gone through, and then we actually stay with them for the solution. We don't I call it the easy bake oven, where a lot of the people, including the manufacturers, kind of set it and forget it. They say, hey, this is the best thing since sliced bread. It's so easy. Your janitor can do it. And let me implement it, turn it all on at the same time, and best of luck.
Yeah.
And so what we've done with that specific customer is we just turn it on consistently over time and help manage that in phases, and then designed it according to their specific needs, and then actually support it. So we can offer either a technical account manager per se, where we're sitting there and understanding their features and functionality and implementing it accordingly, meeting them quarterly, or we can actually we've helped them offer 24/7 support, all the move out change work. So it's been a great relationship because we're in partnership with them. This is a guide to their business needs, not necessarily to their technology whiz-bang needs.
Yeah. No cookie cutter solution is ever as easy as it seems. Implementation is always the biggest challenge, not the technology itself. And then you just open the box, and the whole idea of anything turnkey nowadays just doesn't exist. Here, I've got this money in the bank. I'm just going to do a turnkey business, and then open the doors and off we go. And like, now you're a business owner. You're not just somebody providing the funding, unless that's your only role. But if you're the one that's buying the franchise, now you're a business owner. Same idea with these technology solutions, especially nowadays. You touched on two things that it's a great bridge. First of all was the human experience, both employee experience and the customer experience, that being part of how you help a company work through those things so there's as little friction as possible as something gets rolled out. Because anytime there's change, as good as the change is going to be, there's going to be some kind of friction, some kind of, and not necessarily because of it's not better, it's just it's change. Anytime something changes and you're getting out of what you had before, there's going to be adjustments. So a company that partners with sees themselves as not just a open the box, plug it in, you're good to go. I see an advantage, especially in the marketplace now, as more companies are looking for the value adds that go along with your solution, not just the solution itself. That's a great bridge, though, because your podcast, Press One for Nick, while it's not only touching on the human experience, employee experience, and customer experience, that's a big part of, big central theme of it. So what would you say has been, a few of the most intriguing guests you've had? Because you're now over 100 episodes on your show. And by the way, if you're looking for a podcast to add to your listen, Press One for Nick. Add it. The conversations that he pulls out and the questions he asks, I enjoy listening to it every time I hear it. So add that to your list. But Nick, what would you say about the podcast? What's been interesting for the guests you've had?
Yeah, we've had a lot of really interesting guests. I think we're at 106 as of this Wednesday.
Wow, that's cool.
And it's been a heck of a journey. Been doing it for about a year and a half. The couple that just popped up to me when you asked that is two. Both of them are kind of on the opposite ends of the spectrum. More on, one is a guy named Chris Voss. He is an international hostage negotiator, was with the FBI, so all of the major hostage negotiation situations he was involved in.
Never Split the Difference.
Never Split the Difference is his book. That's correct.
Okay.
And so he would come in and he talks not necessarily about, this is how awesome customer experience is, this is why you should focus on customer service, but he talks about tactical empathy. Empathy is important. He talks about the importance of active listening.
Yes.
He talks the importance of labeling. So when somebody is saying something to you, I always try to bring it back to customer service and somebody inside the contact center. So if somebody's, nobody calls into a contact center and is saying, hey, John, just want to let you know that your product's amazing. I love your service.
No, I've never had that happen.
I hope you have a great day. Air high five, right? It's, I'm on fire and I'm about to get really mad with you and I'm trying to get everything I want. So he talks about active listening and with labeling, he said, hear what they're not saying and then label that. So what is, it seems like that you're going through this. It sounds like we let you down. If I feel like that. And he's like, when you label the things that are not being said, you can actually address that. The second one that I would say real quick is a guy named Jesse Cole. He owns the Savannah Bananas.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he wears a yellow tux everywhere.
Yes.
He was almost broke about 3 years ago, and now he couldn't sell a ticket to save his life. And now he has a 3-year waiting list.
Wow.
He's selling out every single game. He's got a breakdancing first base coach.
Yeah.
He's got a Nacho Libre third base coach. The Banana Nanas are 60 plus years old.
Yeah.
For their cheerleading team. Just a phenomenal organization.
That's cool. Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to the first segment flew. Second segment, your story, your journey. Join us back after the break.
Inspire, influence, and connect your audience with digital signage. Kaufman Media offers customizable digital signage solutions designed to meet your company's specific goals. Whether you need digital menu boards for your quick service restaurant, digital displays for marketing in your retail stores, or wayfinding and unified communications for your schools, your corporations, or your healthcare facility, our customizable, affordable options and proven experience make us the only partner you'll need for your next digital signage project. Visit kaufmanmedia.com today to learn more. That's COFFMAN media.com.
Remember the days when you first started your business? You wanted to make a difference. You wanted to add value to your loved ones, your future employees, your customers, and your community. Here at Accelerated Revenue, we focus on cost savings, customer and employee experience, and cash flow to help your business achieve more while doing less. Freedom. Contact us today to schedule a no-obligation introduction, either at our website, accrev.com, or give us a call at 614-789-3486.
Check out John's worldwide selling book, Wow Your Customers, 7 Ways to World-Class Service on Amazon. Now, once again, here's John.
Welcome back to the Heroic Experience, where we are committed to elevating your business to heroic success. Proudly sponsored by Kaufman Media. You need to check out their digital signage solutions and far more. Visit their website, kaufmanmedia.com. That's spelled COFFMAN media.com. Back with Nick Glimsdahl. He's the Director of Contact Center Solutions at VDS and the host of the Press One for Nick podcast. This second segment, Nick, is devoted to, I think, what's one of the most intriguing parts of the show. We all love to hear the client wow stories, but we also really like to hear people's journeys. Go back as far as you like. We'd like to hear, how did you, Nick, get from wherever you want to start to where you are now?
Yeah, that's a deep question. I'm not 100% sure to where to start, but I'll go back a couple jobs. You know, when it comes to every time that I think of customer experience, I never thought I was in customer experience. Every time I wanted to focus on the customer, and do what's right for them, regardless of if it would benefit me or not. Okay. In every job that I would come into, and I would ask the interview question, I'm obviously in sales, but I don't treat it like a sales position. I treat it as more of how can I solve people's pain points?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And find a solution that's right for them.
Yeah, solution selling. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I would always go back to the interview process, and I said to my manager, to the leader, to the C-suite, what's more important to you? Is it me hitting quota or me doing what's right for the customer? And there was a lot of organizations that I thought were the right fit for me, and I'd ask the question, and they'd say, well, I want you to hit quota first and then do what's right for the customer. And I said, man,
not a good fit.
Yeah, I like you guys in an organization. This isn't the right fit for me. And it might be a right fit for somebody.
Sure.
If that's all they're doing is our money driven. You know, if I fast forward the job before this one, I was in IT outsourcing, and that was sales, and is same as that. And it was an amazing job, and I truly enjoyed it. It's a company called Easy IT out of Dublin. And then I got into this organization that kind of focuses more on, as a consulting, more on the customer service side. And the more I got into it, I was like, customer service isn't just customer service.
Right.
It's focusing on the customer experience as well. And yes, you need to focus on the employee experience, because the employee experience equals the customer experience. However, you need to understand the holistic journey.
Yes.
And that's where I really got excited, is the more that I started digging in the first couple months of my journey at VDS, I've been coming up on 4 years now, is I just kept digging in and kept digging in, like you do as well. You know, on the books that you read, you can kind of continue to learn what other people are doing. And I just, I geek out about what everybody else is doing on that experience. And so I've always focused on the experience. If it's me if I go all the way back to middle school, of me starting to mow lawns and edge lawns and kind of do a value-added service and say, hey, for an extra X amount of money, I'm also going to edge a lawn. You know, I had 4, 5, 6 lawns that I was mowing, and I wanted to do it as if I was mowing my own lawn.
Right.
Because I wanted them to come back as a repeat business in the summer, and I also wanted them to tell others.
Right.
And so I think it always has been an instinct inside my mind that I always wanted to focus on the customer.
Yeah, repeat and referrals. I mean, that's the lifeblood of any business. Yes, it'd be great to have inbound marketing where they're contacting you because you've been so good about answering, like Marcus Sheridan. They ask, you answer by putting that as many details up front so they're pre-qualified when they contact you. But you still can't rely on that. And we know that the shortest, most efficient, least expensive sale is a repeat or a referral.
Yeah.
It shortens the sales cycle automatically. Several things you touched on there. The holistic part about customer experience. I didn't even know that there was a thing as customer experience. I'd heard of customer service, obviously, most of my life. And all the places where they measured it, I was really good at it, top of my team. But it was until I started reading John DeJulius's books, about 4 or 5 years ago, that I understood there was this whole separate world called customer experience that resonated even more strongly, because too often companies silo customer service as a department, as like, well, that's their job. Customer experience is very holistic, where it encompasses so many parts of the employee experience, the customer service, the surveys, feedback, all that goes into customer experience. So if you as a business owner or a senior leader or an executive, if this is the first time you've heard about customer experience, Google it. You'll get tons of great thought leaders. Who have been some of the thought leaders you've enjoyed having a conversation with, Nick, on your podcast in regards to the customer experience?
Yeah, you mentioned Marcus Sheridan. He's a rock star. He is one of the pillars. You think of Shep Hyken. He's one of the Mount Rushmores of customer experience, customer service. You get the Dan Gingises of the world. There's Dan Cockrell. He ran Magic Kingdom at Disney for a while. He's now going out on his own. Highly recommend checking them out. There's so many others that I haven't touched on that I think deserve to be mentioned, though, right? Like it's not just the big people with the big names. It's people like yourself. Like how many people are like John, who are constantly submerging themselves, not just dipping themselves in books and podcasts and radio shows, but constantly are submerged and see a different perspective than other people see.
Yeah, and you talked about in your entrepreneurial journey, like that was just hardwired into you of adding value, of when you take care of someone's lawn, you're not just there to cut the grass. You're there to make sure that the experience they have with you says, oh, I definitely want that again. Oh, and I should tell others because it was that much beyond. A lot of people think, I think business owners think that, well, we can't do it like Chick-fil-A or American Express. We don't have the money to do that. But it's really not a money thing. Mm-hmm. What do you think if someone was like, what could we implement today, no cost, that would have an immediate impact on the customer experience? What are some ideas you would throw out to a business owner like that?
Yeah, if I bring it back to mowing lawns, when I mowed the lawn, it was a representation of that owner of how their lawn looked.
Ah, okay.
Right? And I think that is what was the question again, real quick?
Yeah, so what would be 1-2 ideas you'd have if a business owner would said, we want to impact our customer experience. I don't really know what it is, but I want to start today because I want our brand to be represented well. What are some no-cost, start here ideas? Yeah,
the very first thing, I would sit down with every single employee and give them the ability to voice what their needs are.
VOE.
Right? It's a voice to the customer, but it's also the voice of the employee.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you're not actually taking the pulse of the employee because they know the pain points that your consumers are facing, sometimes they don't get the voice to tell it.
Right.
And if you give them a bucket and say, or a little button that says on, as you're dispositioning a code inside the contact center at the end of that, and just say, hey, you might want to focus on this. Here's some pain points that I've done. Maybe there's a rewards bucket that say, if you can save the organization this, or if you can help us with that. And the second thing I would say is go talk to your best customers. Figure out what they're struggling with. Mm-hmm. Hear them out and just say, if we could improve one thing today to make a better experience for you tomorrow, what would it be?
Right.
And if you could actually just sit there and listen, you will have a different experience. You will transform your organization, and it won't cost you a penny.
Right, right. And those customers, they already know, like, and trust you. They love you. They're obviously repeat or steady, and they may have even referred. You go to them, now you're even deepening that relationship with them where you are valuing their input. There are very few companies that take that step of actively listening and closing the feedback loop, doing something with it, and communicating back to their best customers what they did. You can do that loop, you're golden. You're in that top 5%. All right, second segment, flu. Last segment, features and benefits. Join us after the break.
Did you know that 70% of U.S. residents 12 and older recall seeing digital signage in the past week? Digital signage provides a 35% reduction in perceived wait time with a 30% increase in a customer's in-store browsing time. Kaufman Media offers customizable digital signage solutions designed to meet your company's specific goals. Christina said,
"We love our digital signage. The software is easy to use and we can publish content in minutes. It allows for every department to be seen and have a voice."
Visit kaufmanmedia.com today to learn more. That's COFFMAN media.com.
Attention business owners, could your company benefit from stronger cash flow and strategies to navigate disruption? Join us in November as Accelerated Revenue hosts an in-person free seminar here in Columbus, Ohio, with networking opportunities and engaging speakers that will both help grow your business in every economy. Stay tuned to this show, The Heroic Experience, for more details, or visit our website, accrev.com. That's accrev.com.
Would you like to be a guest on the Heroic Experience? Contact us at john.hansen@accrev.com. Now, once again, here's John.
Welcome back to the Heroic Experience, proudly sponsored by Kaufman Media. Check out their digital signage solutions, which involves way more than you think. Hit their website, kaufmanmedia.com. That's spelled COFFMAN media.com. Again, our last segment with Nick, man, we could talk for days on this whole holistic approach to customer experience. But I always like to reserve the last segment, Nick, for going over features and benefits, but also aspects of what you do that people might not be aware of. And that's where often some great insights come out. Now, Nick is, just for reference, he's the Director of Contact Center Solutions at VDS, and he's the host of the Press One for Nick podcast. If you don't have that podcast on your list, add it. And if you want to check out VDS, what's the best way to do that?
Yeah, you can go to govds.com. You can also find me on LinkedIn. You can find VDS on LinkedIn as well.
Yeah, so if in case people need this spelled out, if they're only listening in the car, how do you spell your last name, Nick?
Glimsdahl. So Glimsdahl.
All kinds of great content there under Nick's LinkedIn profile. All right, so last segment is features and benefits. But it's not just that. It's not just the nuts and bolts. What I like to ask is, all right, they hit the website, they can find out the nuts and bolts. What are the distinctives? What sets VDS apart from what's typically found in the marketplace?
Yeah, what's typically found in the marketplace is people will get frustrated with what they're currently having. If it's legacy technology or if it's a new cloud-based technology. It's actually interesting because 20% of the market still hasn't gone to the cloud, but 90% of my business have gone, people come to me after they've gone to the cloud once.
Ah, got it.
And so the distinct that I think the value that we bring is that we can remove a lot of the frustration and confusion of what's possible and what's next. So how do I help organizations see around the corner and then pull back the curtain on the manufacturer and say, this one, you might want to ask about this question, or it might not integrate well with this, or the CRM isn't going to be a plug and play like they promised. Here's some things around it. Here's some things that we should ask. And we're the mortar between both of those bricks, the brick of the consumer, the person who's buying the technology, and the technology provider themselves. And then we help kind of mold that. I think, another analogy I heard this morning, and it's probably an awful one, but it's the horse and the jockey. So if the horse can be a pull-on, amazing thoroughbred horse,
right,
but if it doesn't have a great jockey, then you're not going to win the race. And so as much as I don't want to be compared to being a jockey and wearing the tight pants, I think that we are the jockey that guide that horse to that finish line.
Yeah. The jockey's not going to win the race by himself, obviously, paired against a horse. But a horse without that strategic guidance that knows best place to direct that energy, but direct that potential, right? That's where partnering with a company like VDS. Two questions for you. Number one is company size. Somebody listening to this might think, oh, this is for a company that's got this gigantic Fortune 100 contact center. What's the range of company sizes you work with, Nick?
Yeah, it's kind of a pretty broad stroke. It's anywhere from about 20 seats, contact center agents, to just under right around 1,000. Ooh. And that's probably 90% of the market. And so we're in a nice little spot where we can help organizations out.
Okay. The second question I have is, so we talked about what's possible, what's next. We talked about company size. What's something that people might not think about when you talk about contact center solutions? What's been a surprise to some clients when they find, oh, you can do that? Or what would you say to that, Nick?
Yeah, so going back to what we both talked about is around the holistic experience. So most people still have disparate systems. They have their phone, their email, their text, their social, their chat, all on different applications. It's not integrated into their specific needs around CRM or ERP or anything else, they don't know that you can create a holistic experience and drive those efficiencies for your organization. So they're kind of keeping it at arm's distance. I call it the Heisman approach, where they know what they have and they're like, oh, this is not great, but what's next?
Yes.
And so it's my job. In every story, there is a guide and there's a hero. In most sales roles, people think of themselves as the hero. Nobody is in sales as the hero. They should be the guide. It's saying, I've been to Mount Everest. I've been there for 20 years. I know how to get there back and forth. I know when to take the small steps. I know when to add oxygen. Here's how I can help you. Is not necessarily saying, opening up my black leather jacket saying, look how cool I am. Look at the services I can provide.
Right.
Do you want to buy some?
Right. Yeah. Two things there. One is, it sounds like the efficiencies you're talking about impact the employee experience perhaps even more than the customer experience. But we know if you improve that part, that aspect of that holistic approach, it's going to, by default, improve the customer experience. Second one you touched on was guide versus hero. And you probably had this before, but I read the book, Building a Story Brand by Donald Miller. And if you haven't read this book and you're in sales or leadership, business owner, whatever, add this to your reading list, because it tracks the 7 points of any theme. And you think of the box office hits, they follow this to the letter, and they're massively successful. The artistic, tasteful ones that come out in film festivals and such, they never achieve this kind of level of success at a box office. Even if it's Fast and Furious 29, it's still going to make money because of following these 7 points. You've got to add that book. When did you encounter that idea, Nick, of being in sales? Oftentimes people want to position themselves as the hero because they want to come in and solve, right? It's not necessarily narcissistic, although there are some in sales who are, but wanting to solve their issue. And without knowing it, we cast ourselves as the hero. When did you encounter this idea, and did it change anything for you, or did it just underline how you were doing things through the solution selling you do?
Yeah, I think it didn't change a whole lot. It kind of magnified what I thought.
Okay.
When it comes to solution selling, it's more about the questions that you're asking.
Yes.
And the additional follow-up questions that you're going to ask.
Yes, right.
It's how are you going to be a thought leader in the industry by asking thoughtful questions and actively listening. And that changes the perspective of the consumer that's buying it.
Yes. Yes. John Maxwell's, I finished it a month or two ago, his book, Good Leaders Ask Great Questions. A fascinating book. It's the first time I'd read it of his. And that highlighted the point, not only do you listen well as active listening, but you really want to put good thought into the questions you ask. I liked solution selling when I was in industrial automation because every place was different. Yes, it was still manufacturing, but every place had a different process, had different people, different stories. Everything was unique. And by going in with that, I think that solution selling, if you treat every single experience, and I did this when I was in a contact center, I treated every call as if it was brand new. It always was. But I had to learn from what either went great or didn't go well in the call previously, and take just the lesson from it, but not the emotion, and prepare and treat that very next call as if I didn't take another call the rest of the day or before. Quick question, one-word answer. What would you say is the one aspect that you enjoy the most about what you do?
I would say if it was a one-word answer, it'd be serve. My mission in life is to have fun serving others.
Yeah, having fun serving others. Absolutely. It should be fun. To light up, to see people's eyes and to see how you're making a difference while you're being heroic to them without pursuing that, making them the hero even more so. So happy to have Nick here. Gosh, the time flies every time we have a guest. So grateful to have Nick Glimsdahl. Follow him on LinkedIn. Check out govds.com. Subscribe to his podcast. So happy to have you here. We're looking forward to every single guest that we have, and that's why the show elevates your business to heroic success, not because of me, because of the awesome guests we have. I look forward to seeing you on the next episode of The Heroic Experience.
This has been The Heroic Experience. To learn how your business can be profitable and heroic, visit ACCREV.com. For access to free weekly content, subscribe to the Accelerated Revenue YouTube channel and follow John D. Hanson on LinkedIn. To listen to archived shows, find them on the Accelerated Revenue website under the Resources tab. ACCREV